Dark Souls 3 definitely has a unique style to it compared to the other two games in the series. It has a little bit of a speed bump, and it is by far the most balanced in terms of weapon types. While it may not be my favorite Dark Souls game, I do truly enjoy playing it. There's something about the difficulty scaling that it just paces so well through the entire game. But you came here to see me challenge myself, so for this run, all of my weapons will be single use, meaning after I get a kill, or get killed, I need to drop them. Also, after each boss, I will be throwing away all of my armor that I am currently wearing. Zen will also be joining me for this run and running along the challenge with me. To start out, I chose the Knight class. I thought with some of the higher starting strength and vitality, it would be the best choice. I also forgot to give myself a burial gift, so I won't have anything extra starting out. But I won't need it, because I'm just that good. Look, I'll even drink an Estus before starting the very first boss fight. This one's free, Gunder! Yeah, Gunder's pretty easy, so it didn't really matter. Dropping my starting weapon, I now need to find a weapon before I fight the next boss. Entering Firelink, I firstly go for the Silver Serpent Ring by making this jump. This ring is going to be critical since I will be severely underleveled without killing any monsters. Buying some weapons from the Shrine Maiden, we are ready to start the game. Early game isn't too exciting since it's just the beginning enemies that don't do very much damage. Most of them are pretty slow, we simply just sprint past everything. Making our way through, we reach Vordt. This fight goes exactly as you would expect. Seth gets killed and I use a Homeward Bone to escape the boss room, which I did allow myself to use in order to preserve my weapon.
Keep adding more stipulations to this stupid challenge, so it's basically just, how far can we make it while naked and only using our fists?
How far can we fist our way through Dark Souls 3? Context! Second attempt on Vordt, we crush him, and I have to discard my equipment. Next we travel to the lower wall, I talk to Yhorm, and then sprint to the next area, skipping the tree for now. Taking the elevator down, we reach the Road of Sacrifices, which I just sprint through. While at the halfway fortress, I speak with Henri and Horace. Then we travel through the first swamp. And then we reach our first major hurdle of the run, the Crystal Sage. First attempt, I get him down to the magic pixel of health, and then I end up dying because of all the clone spells. At least that will be the only time that happens in this run. Right? After a couple of failed attempts of this fight, we opted to continue deeper into the swamp, because we were just not making progress. The next section is a poison swamp, which, while is obnoxious on its own, it's full of enemies that don't belong in this area. Trying to put out the fires, I end up dying, which did not put my mind at peace about my low weapon supply. At this point, I had just 4 weapons, and 2 of them I can't even use yet. One of them is a broken straight sword. Reaching the last flames to put out, a door opens and we have reached the end of the swamp. We then decided to attempt the Abyss Watchers, which is a fight that keeps adding more bosses every couple of seconds, which of course goes as well as you would expect. So we backtrack a little bit and we decide to go fight the tree now. The tree was actually pretty easy, beating him first try. Killing him rewards us with the Transposing Kiln, which allows us to exchange boss souls for boss weapons, which are some of the most powerful weapons in the game. We opt next to return to the Crystal Sage, since it was much weaker than the Abyss Watchers. Now equipped with a Greatsword, I do significantly more damage than I was with the Great Scythe. During the winning attempt, Seth gets wrecked by a spell, but then I bring down the Sage solo. Sprinting through to the next area, I got some free Twinkling Titanite, and the Herald set. Poor Herald. We grab some ashes and then we reach the Cleansing Chapel. After that, we run around the Graveyard, grabbing both the Astora's Greatsword and the Executioner's Greatsword. This area was tricky to loot simply because of how much there was to get around for each pickup. Opening the first shortcut door and riding down the elevator, I get followed by a Grave Warden. This is where I started to use saving and quitting to reset enemy locations. I didn't need to use it much in this run, but for some of the enemies it was worth it. While going for the second shortcut door, I got invaded by Kirk the Longfinger. Fortunately, hiding at the bonfire, he got himself stuck behind Gale. Kirk ended up getting his revenge, however, because Seth got bugged outside of the boss room, with the fog door just not letting him in. Which, the Deacons are a very easy boss fight, so it wouldn't be any problem. Except for after a bit of time, they fill the room with darkness, and it quickly starts to curse me. Second attempt goes much better, with Seth able to actually join the fight, and we just steamroller this boss. With our newfound confidence, we charge straight into the Abyss Watchers. This boss fight is always so much fun, with each new Abyss Watcher joining the fray adding even more complexity, where the entire battle feels so intense. The whole fight wasn't too bad. Once we get into the second phase, there's only one to contend with, but he fights more like a regular boss rather than a typical hollow. After a few minutes, we bring them down, officially killing our first major boss. Returning to Firelink, I trade some boss souls for a bunch of boss weapons, which will probably be the best weapons for me in the endgame, since they start with very high stats without being upgraded. Next we enter the Catacombs of Karthus, which has this neat little shortcut that skips about half of the area. Then I also got super lucky here because the skeleton boulder splattered the mage who controls it, so I was able to go get the sublime bone dust that was inside the ball. Sprinting through, we go directly for the boss, because well, after picking Seth back up, we use environmental damage to kill a bunch of skeletons. Then attempt Wolnir. Wolnir is really easy. He has these 3 bracelets that when damaged enough just shatter and do a whole chunk of his health. Destroying all 3 always ends the boss fight, which, for whatever reason, we always chase Wolnir when he gets sucked back into the void.
Oh my gosh, that was so
many
good.
skeletons.
Heading now to Irithyll, an epiphany strikes us that Pontiff will probably be incredibly difficult. And small spoiler, he was the hardest boss to beat. Crossing the bridge, I feel like something is watching me. Luckily, there's a barrier that protects me from getting eaten by this gaping dragon rat politician thing. Irithyll is pretty scary since most of the enemies here are actually very dangerous, especially since my character is only level 37. Running through, we reach another swamp, and that mouse-nosed gaping dragon dog thing comes off the bridge and chases me. I was able to escape into the Irithyll dungeon, and so we opt to fight Yhorm instead of going for Pontiff. The dungeon itself wasn't too terrible, except for this giant rat stealing my shortcut elevator.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Away from me.
That was an interesting sound.
the rat. The rat stole the elevator.
Scary. To close the dungeon out, we are rewarded with a gargoyle not knowing how to fly. I am Gilligan. Yhorm is really easy, since we get the Storm Ruler, the only weapon that does any damage to his giant health bar. We had grabbed Storm Ruler in Seth's world before attempting mine, so we both had it to fight him. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, not too cheesy, if you pleasey, so don't be greasy and give me a subscreezy. Now that I lost every single person watching this video, I found out that I actually can't remove Storm Ruler from my inventory, but I won't use it for the rest of the run. So now, with our options very limited, we now try to fight Pontiff for the first time. Trying Pontiff, it goes exactly as you would expect. We are super underleveled, he's really fast, he hits really hard, and I whiffed my parry. We try again and again for about 20 minutes before taking a break from Pontiff. And so we have to weigh our options. Pontiff feels like an absolute brick wall, with no real way to get past him. The only other option is the Dancer. And if you've played Dark Souls 3 before, you know the Dancer is not an easy fight, notorious for being, quote, too hard, and, quote, unfair, and, quote, try finger but wait, this is why you shouldn't get quotes from Reddit. Being extremely patient, carefully avoiding attacks, conserving Estus, she catches me with a backswing and kills me, and I lost my Morning Star. We try a couple more times before Seth decides it's time for bed. I decided to go looting for a bit, to get a bit more weapons to use. I grab the Chloranthy ring, I go save Grey Rat for a couple more weapons, one of which is old reliable, the mace. I never actually used the mace in Dark Souls 3 before, In Dark Souls 2, it's literally the only strength weapon I use, but because of how well the Morningstar attempt was, I decided to try plussing a mace for a little bit of extra damage. This is literally the only time that I upgraded a weapon except for the final boss fight. Hey, Editing Sam here. No spoilers on what's about to happen, but this recording session has 4 more hours in it. I'm sure you could probably guess what happened here. So please choose one of the 4 options listed here. Using Homeward Bones to preserve my weapon with each attempt, I would get closer and closer and closer. I knew that I could do this fight. First attempt we got so close, and even without Seth aiding me, I knew I could do it. This battle actually has become one of my favorite bosses in Dark Souls 3. Like the Pursuer in Dark Souls 2, the battle just feels super smooth. Like each time that I'm greedy, I get punished for it. It never feels unfair. Just a clean and fun fight that took me 4 hours. So it's fun. With my confidence at an all-time high, we go straight for the Dragon Slayer armor. The first attempt goes really well, with Seth dying part of the way in, and I try to take him on alone, getting him nearly dead before he kills me. This fight actually wasn't too bad. I ended up beating him with the Crescent Axe, which was doing 60 damage per hit. It did take a few attempts, but in all, it was not preparing me what was inevitably coming next. This clip here, I don't even really have words for it.
Hi, everybody.
Or whoever is what on Earth?
What?
Hi.
I was changing my weapons around trying to get the best equipment for Pontiff, and it looks like the weapon items and shield tables all just started showing instead of hiding the ones that I don't have equipped. Funny enough, it did have a message for me even attempting this run, and that one hurt me a little bit. I think it was actually tied to the invader that was in my world. He ended up being pretty terrible, with Seth being able to solo him while I just marveled at this glitch. If anyone has any insights into this, please let me know down in the comments. After the invader died, Seth left my world so I could restart my game, which did fix it. Now, actually getting to Pontiff, I decided to use the Coward's Way Out and summon Seth and 2 NPCs, which changed this boss fight from an unstoppable monster to a child that can't even walk. Okay, well maybe it wasn't that easy. It did still take 3 attempts, but compared to how it went after the first attempt, it certainly felt that way. The whole run to Aldrich was almost laughable. I must be getting good at avoiding attacks at this point. Reaching Aldrich, the fight was also pretty easy. He moves a lot slower than the last 2 bosses that we have fought recently, so I could use a big weapon and do big damage other than little ones that give me time to roll out of attacks. He did take a few attempts, however, mostly because of us just being over-aggressive and trying to do a lot of damage quickly. He also likes to jump around the room, so the fight had him using a lot of ranged attacks to chip away at our health the whole time that we were just trying to reach him. Throwing our weapons and armor away, we now head to the Grand Archives. Running through, by this point, I knew that levels weren't really going to change that much, so I don't even really bother looting. Instead, I opted to just run as fast as I can, get the shortcuts, and then to the boss door. Lothric and Lorian are interesting. The first phase of the boss fight has us fighting Lorian, a shambling husk with no apparent humanity. He crawls around and swings his large sword, but he is slower than most, so it isn't that hard to dodge. After killing Lorian, Lothric warps over and imbues him with magic, and Lorian gets right back up. Lothric then rides on his back, using magic to help cover his brother while he swings his sword. To damage Lothric, you're supposed to completely kill Lorian, and then he falls down again, just like in Phase 1. Then Lothric will again revive Lorian for another round. One thing I did notice while fighting this, Lorian seemed to be ever so slightly faster in Phase 2. I would find myself more often without stamina and end up getting killed. I try out a few different weapons to see if bigger is really better, but I end up settling on the Black Knight Greatsword. It swings slightly upward, which will let me hit Lothric while he's riding his brother, meaning I don't have to fully drain Lorian's health bar before doing some real damage. We have a couple of really good runs. Without delay, we're able to bring them both down. With all of the major bosses now defeated, we set our sights on the Soul of Cinder. Reaching the kiln of the first flame, we find the entire world as we know it, jumbled and piled up in ash. Because he's the final boss, I decide it's only appropriate to use Smo's hammer, because I chonk, therefore I bonk. First phase, he switches between several different attack styles, mirroring the way that you would fight with different weapons. He switched from a short sword to a curved sword dex build, but then we killed his first phase. For the second phase, he fights with a greatsword, and is much more aggressive with it. With multi-hit combo attacks, sometimes chaining 6-7 attacks, and also some lightning magic, he is much more of a challenge. But, without too long, we bring down the soul of Gwyndr.
Just kicked me. Ow.
Dropping my final armor set and Smo's hammer, we link the first flame and usher in a new age. This challenge was actually not too bad. I was worried in the beginning that I would run out of weapons or armor and I would not be able to continue. And fortunately, that didn't become the case. With this run completed, I think I'm going to take a break from some action RPGs for a little while, maybe a couple videos. I always prefer to outthink my problems rather than outskill them, and I'm not that good at Dark Souls. But hey, if you made it this far into the video, don't forget to give this video a like. It does really help me out. And if you haven't already, you should subscribe, since this is like the third time that I've mentioned it. And I will see you all in the next video.
Thank you.